Oh yeah, it says started already. I don't see any questions though.
There's nobody saying.
Yeah, it says we're live.
I mean, it says 0 viewers.
Nope, there we are. 10 people watching now. You know it has a little lag though, so.
Oh, I see it. I see 4 on the screen within the Hangout. 8.
9. With my headphones on. Ooh. All right.
How's your leg? The Band-Aid not working? Oh, sure. Thank you. Kim, thank you.
I could like hear the eye nigga through the screen.
The eye roll.
I was like, boy, this nigga is fucking up.
Fucking up on what?
Nigga, she said, I need to help. I was like, oh, bitch. Mute it. Mute it.
I ain't nothing to mute.
Hey, you're all right.
She's heard the question wrong. She thought I demanded a drink, but I did not. I asked for a drink.
I hear you, brother. I respect that. I ain't say what you ain't like. You heard wrong.
It's 5:30. Let's give these
Let's
people
do
some
it.
juice.
Let's do it.
Oh, let's do it. Woo.
I wish I would have got it.
Look at Marvin. You're ridiculous. I knew somebody was going to year back. Hi, Brandon. It's so weird watching myself in the lag. It's like, wow, why did I do that?
Why did you do that, Sharon? This nigga Dez is drinking Viking blood. Okay.
It's mead. It's very good. It's hibiscus infused.
Jeez, you just never cease to amaze me.
What? You don't like mead now?
I do.
Oh, all right. Let's get this show on the road. God damn it! Y'all ready?
Yep.
Oh, so Sham, what we're gonna do is we're gonna introduce ourselves. We're gonna go around, and then you'll be like I'll say, and then today's special guest it'll be you, of course, and then you can do your whole. Hi, I'm Sham. I write. Pay me for writing, and I like food and chicken wings and that kind of shit.
So you basically did their whole intro.
I mean,
thanks for that.
I just
now everybody already just sees the intro before we really get to do it. It's cool.
I mean, I'm just trying to help. Just trying to help. You know what I'm saying? Stop giving me grief. Niggas. All right. And 5, 4. Oh, okay. We ready? Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And 5.
Hey.
What up? What up? What up? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Smooth Order. Welcome to season 3, episode 23. Got that right on the first time, mostly because I'm cheating and I can see it on YouTube. Podcast. It's live episode. Another live episode for this before this season is over, as we're coming to the end of the season, which is weird because we're still doing seasons. But later on that, I'm the host, Smooth Order.
Tune Day, Talk 7.
Lextopia here.
And Negroid Android.
And today we have a special guest.
Hi guys, I'm Shamira. I know we already talked about the intro thing, and I already forgot what I was gonna say. Brooklyn resident.
I just gave you all that heat for no reason.
All day.
Brooklyn resident, dipset apologist, occasional writer, constant Twitter arguer. Hi guys.
Where can the people find? Well, if you want them to find you on the Twitters,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
My Twitter handle is @_shamgod. That's with 1 M, not with 2 M's, if you're familiar with the reference.
Indeed.
Sham God the God.
And yeah, you just launched your personal website joint. You a professional writer with the writer portfolio and all that joint, personal branding and all that. Tell the people about that, yo.
Yeah. So somehow I stumbled into a writing career, I guess. I mostly just talk a lot of shit, and apparently people want to pay me for that. So, that's cool. But I had to start posting or just collating my content in one place for a couple of reasons. One, because folks were trying to bite me and I felt away. And 2, because I published for a few different places. So if you ever want to see anything I've ever written, including stuff that makes me cringe looking back at reading it, it's at shamirathefirst.com. That's pretty much where everything is. If you ever the sites that I generally write for are Very Smart Brothers, The Roots, written for Teen Vogue before, written for New York Mag and The Cut before, and Washington Post. And maybe some other corner in the interwebs soon.
Indeed. That's what's up.
That's a good deal.
It is. So I definitely got the YouTube joint open while we're recording, and Brandon asked me what I was drinking. I'm drinking Jim Beam and Coke, which I almost died for.
Gosh, Jim Beam again?
What do you mean Jim Beam again?
Last time you had Jim Beam, you went off.
Well,
you got a time limit.
Whatever.
I'm drinking Jose.
I really want to get to watching Dance Moms, so we can't run this podcast on CP.
Hold on. First of all, Dance Moms is more important than these issues.
Yo, Laurie Gibson is back. Like, wow. I'm really invested.
I have no idea what that means, but I guess that's important. So before we start the show, Tunde, go ahead and hit us with the comments.
All right. We have 3 5-star reviews.
Yes.
On iTunes. The first is by Cypress Moss, and it is titled Barbershop Combo That Can't Be. Actually, this is 4 stars. I lied. I'm reading his last.
Nah, read that one first.
All right, I'll read it first. All right, Cypress Moss, titled Barbershop Combo That Can Be Misguided at Times. Hi guys, I'm writing this review considering y'all don't read SoundCloud comments. I think the outrage over Kaepernick is starting to get misguided on all fronts. I think it is silly to think protesting / not watching the NFL will get Cap a job. That man ain't suffering. The conversation is becoming more and more about him rather than what he kneeled and sacrificed his career for. Our energy would be better focused supporting police reform and highlighting these local prosecutor races. This was never supposed to be about Cap, but black people being killed by police. Cap gonna be all right! ! We're not
the ones who made it about Cap. And just because he's making money doesn't mean he can't stand up for other people's rights. Yo, who is this?
Let me finish.
They're not done.
Let me finish. No,
oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
I would have more respect for people like Spike Lee and even Cap if they pressured legislators to pass reform that Rand Paul, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, or local legislators have put forward to bring justice to victims, similar to what Ashton Kutcher has done for sex trafficking. If Cap gets back in, it won't stop police brutality suddenly. I think we get too comfortable protesting instead of doing work that brings substantial change.
Does this thing have a dog, Evie?
No, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. There's been a time where I thought that way too. Where it's like, oh, everybody wants to tweet about this, cool, but like nothing's happening. And then you realize how much of an impact it does have just to even have those conversations and getting people into action to do things. So I see way more value and I understand it more after seeing it actually living it right now. But yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with this guy. Okay. But thanks for listening, though.
Sorry, I know I'm not technically the target of this review, but like
you are now. You're on this podcast.
You on the show now. You were definitely on target.
I didn't know we were target.
I feel like niggas really exposed that they don't read every day, because like all the things that like he said Cap could do like he's been doing. So I'm confused as to the problem.
Like Cap didn't make it about Cap. The media made it about him.
Okay.
But like Cap has also worked with legislature and given money and done all the things he says are better served. Cap has actually legitimately not said anything besides doing the shit.
Black people, use your hands. Use your hands.
I mean, niggas getting us heated already off the reviews, but it was 4 stars, so I'm not mad at that. But like, and I hope he doesn't go back in, but I hope he listens to us as well. And I'm not even trying to be hard on this person, so please don't take it that way. But yeah, nobody's trying to make it about Cap. It's about somebody actually taking the stand about something that's right. And of course, him sitting down doesn't do anything specifically against police brutality, but like Sham already said, like he's doing a whole lot of other things, and he's making a whole lot of conversations more public, and more people are doing what they need to do against it. Like you leaving this review didn't do nothing either, but like you had to leave it, so
damn. Go ahead, Tune.
Next one.
I also want to add, like, he's saying that our energy was better spent focusing on police reform and not worrying about whether he has a job. And I would argue that we can do both. Like, why can't I be like upset that there's blatant like blackballing going on in the NFL and not want to support that, and also put efforts towards, you know, contacting my legislators about police reform.
Also, like, no one's worried that Cap doesn't have a job. Like, that's that's not the correct word, right? Cap is going to be fine at the end of the day if he never plays a day in his life. It's just a point of observation that it's bullshit he doesn't have a job. Like,
yeah.
But Cap doesn't care if he doesn't have a job because he's taking care of what needs to be taken care of. Like, I don't think that's the issue at all.
Listen, Cap
but
out here
not speak for that man.
Out and shit. He's good, you know.
Right, with the straight backs. He don't care about y'all.
I think people should start talking about this, like, not just Caps being like blackballed for what he protested, which is black people being killed by the police, but also talk about this like an employment issue. Like, this is unfair. Like, Josh McClellan, all these boys who got jobs right now, Josh McCown,
Jay Cutler, like, it's some trash. They pulled him off of his couch, like
yeah, Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler rolled up to that press conference and said, "Nigga, I guess," and like everyone was like,
everybody was happy.
Cool.
But shout out to the real niggas like Marshawn Lynch, who came back in this bitch probably just to sit the fuck down. So I appreciate him at least.
Marshawn Lynch came back and he was like, "Nigga, I've been sitting down for 11 years."
Right,
that's
right.
True.
I ain't protesting nothing.
And ain't nobody gonna say shit to him either.
Nope.
Hell no, they not.
Hit the next comment.
All right, so,
shoot, that was still the reviews? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was the first review. We have 2 more reviews. The second 2 are 5-star reviews. So next one is by Ocho01, titled "Leaving a Review on iTunes and Not Twitter." I think that was in response to what Lex said last week.
Yep. Thank you.
Dope ass podcast! Exclamation mark. I love Storytime with Negro. Another exclamation mark. I've only been listening since the start of season 3, but I went back and listened to seasons 1 and 2. You guys got to bring back the highlighting of Black businesses section in season 4. I can't wait
it's
for
coming.
more. Yeah, it is coming. I can't wait for more live
Brandon
shows.
said that's him.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. I can't wait for more live shows in next season as well! Exclamation mark. If Lex has not seen Harlem Nights or Boomerang by the start of next season, she definitely is gonna have to run me my fade as stated in the live show.
Wow.
Also, thank you guys for letting me create the custom NWAP shirts for y'all. 3 exclamation marks. Much love! Exclamation mark. Brandon.
Oh, that's Beetlejuice Q. I didn't know your name was Brandon. Okay, now it's all connecting.
Yeah.
So, Lex, this feels like a good time to show everybody the fresh ass shirt that he made.
So he made me this shirt, guys. Oh, it's backwards, but you get it. NWAP in the red, and guys, it's like velvet though, so it feels good too. And this part is like
velvet.
Is that velvet?
Thank you,
Brandon.
She really did.
I'm trying to sell some shirts. Go to Brandon's website. Go to Brandon's website, buy a shirt. Thank you.
I think it's good advertisement. People probably go there.
Also,
All right. The next
This one better be my boy.
Is by Synetta, Synetta 279. Titled "I love this podcast!" 5 stars. I can't even listen to this podcast out in public because I always end up laughing out loud. They discuss a little bit of everything from brutal, honest, socially conscious subjects to hot topics and entertainment. This podcast will keep you entertained! If you truly feel like you are sitting around with 4 friends and discussing a little bit of everything. As an avid reader, I love when books are recommended / discussed, especially. You need to bring that back too. I want to thank you guys for doing this podcast and for always keeping it so raw. Wishing you continued success! Just respectfully, you're a faithful listener. DS Little.
Thanks.
I don't know if that's my friend either, to be honest with you.
I don't think that's your friend.
I don't know that.
But he did tweet that he was like, I left it already. So I don't know. Hold up. If it was him with the 4 stars, we're really gonna have a problem. Hold on. Run back. Wait a minute. Run back that guy's name.
Hold on. It was.
I don't think it was him with the 4 stars.
Cypress Moss.
Right.
That gave us the 4 stars?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I don't think that's me. Well, looks like I gotta get back on Twitter and be like, so what's up, bro?
Right. All right. So now that we didn't have the super elongated, that's probably the longest review section that we've ever had on the podcast. We're going to jump right into this goddamn episode. So today we're going to talk about, of course, we're going to talk about Charlottesville because that's what everybody's talking about. And, you know, we definitely got to get in on that. And then because it's probably going to be a heavy episode, we're going to talk about Insecure at the end and the super amount of ridiculous shit that happened in last week's episode. But let's talk about Virginia. So if you were living under a rock over the past weekend, you probably didn't recognize that white supremacists descended on Charlottesville like the plague. Well, maybe I shouldn't say descended because I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people that descended on Charlottesville probably actually lived there. They were going to take down the Robert E. Lee statue from Robert E. Lee Park, and white supremacists decided that they weren't having that shit, so they were going to march in protest of Virginia taking down that statue. Upon deciding that they were going to march, counter-protesters showed up to this protest, and a lot of shit went down. There was a terrorist featured there who killed a young woman and injured about 19 other people. There were fights. The police decided that shit was getting too real, so they decided to leave. And it was pretty much an all-day event. It was a bunch of white niggas out there with khakis and tiki torches, just basically causing a ruckus. So I want to get some initial thoughts on how you guys feel about what happened this weekend, you know, everything that went down, just whatever you want to talk about. So Shamira, since you're the guest, we'll start with you. Or Shamira, excuse me, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I was going to clock you about that, don't worry. So this whole story actually is a little personal for me. I didn't go to UVA, but I did go to undergrad in Southwest Virginia. I attended a school called Washington and Lee University, and the Lee stands for Robert E. Lee. So I have a lot of personal association with kind of this narrative around racism in Virginia and Robert E. Lee's legacy. I, of course, have a lot of friends that have gone to other Virginia schools, Black friends who I went to school with. My ex went to UVA. So I'm very familiar with kind of the cultural climate in that whole area. And it's kind of been a really frustrating discussion for me as someone who lived there for years on end. This kind of idea that it's like all of these outside racists swooped in to like the city and took it hostage is kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, yes, clearly people cross state lines to prove how much they like whiteness, and that shit is ridiculous. But also, like, it's very fundamentally integrated into these towns and in these cities, and it really does a disservice, in my opinion, to pretend otherwise, right? Because when I was an undergrad, we had plenty of problems, right? I mean, instead of celebrating MLK Day, these campuses celebrate Lee Jackson Day, right? I went to school right next to one of the biggest military schools in the nation, VMI, right? And they would have a whole like Confederate kind of celebration during that time. Obviously, it wasn't celebrating the Confederacy, but it was enough that it was fucking too much, right? You know, we constantly fought that shit. We constantly tried to deal with it. You know, we got attention after I left. We got attention from like Gawker or whatever, because the law school put out a statement demanding that we acknowledge MLK Day for the Black students. You know, these are experiences that a lot of us who went to school at these places have been struggling with for some time. So it's kind of been a little frustrating for everyone to watch and say, this is unprecedented at UVA. I'm like, nigga, you just had someone last year get like stomped out by the ABC police. Like, this is not unprecedented for Charlottesville. This is not unprecedented for Virginia, or not unprecedented for us in the country. Now, that said, shit is fucking awful and ridiculous. And it's kind of unsurprising, but still really jarring that even in the face of someone's death and the face of extreme violence, we're still looking at people pretending that there's two sides of the story. Yeah, that's all I got for now. This shit is just fucked 2 weeks from Sunday.
All right, Sunday.
So I'm from, you know, the Maryland, DC area, and I know Charlottesville's far enough, but not that far away. And I almost went there for grad school. It was like out of all the schools that I would have went to for free for grad school, that was high on my list. It was number 2. And last second I decided not to go there, and I'm so glad I didn't. After going to Charlottesville, I was like, you know, this doesn't seem like it's, you know, the place for me. And I'm not surprised by what happened. That's all I got.
All right, Des.
I think the big thing that I saw in Charlottesville, the thing that bothered me was, in my head, I realized, like, you watch, because the response, the police, it was crazy. There was, like, when you watch the videos, because somebody periscoped it, there was no police presence. And I mean, literally, there's that picture of that sister who's like a sundress, and she's holding out her hands. It's like 5 cops in full SWAT gear roll up on her to snatch her. And it's like, oh, y'all gonna do that to a woman in a sundress, but not dudes out here in like militia like gear with fully automatic weapons. And what I think people got to start having a debate around is some type of standards for police response. It can't be you shoot niggas in the head while they're reaching for their identification, and white people can threaten you with guns and sharp objects. It can't be that. And, you know, the black guy dies and the white guy lives.
Tunde?
So in response to what Des just said, right? I think it's deeper than that, because you can't say, well, why wasn't there like a police and military presence in Charlottesville when there was in Baltimore or there was in Ferguson? It's because, you know, those police departments apply for federal funding and they get it to get these type of like tactical military gear. So they have this shit on standby. I guarantee you Charlottesville doesn't have that shit on standby because they're not expecting shit like that. They're like, oh, this is a
on standby?
All of these police,
Wait. Hold on. Let them finish, and then.
So, Ferguson, Baltimore, these are cities that are majority black, right? So these police departments are gonna have shit like this on standby, ready for the event when shit pops off. So, I'm not saying that, you know, that even if they had it, they would have used it on white people, but that's why you see it so readily available in places like Baltimore.
Lex?
I'm not sure that that's facts, because I feel like with the Ferguson deal, it was a lot of that coming in very quickly. I think they definitely moved more quickly against the black protests and black crowds. But I kind of get what you're saying, that in an area like Charlottesville, it's like, it's hunky-dory here, nothing's happening, so we don't really need all that. So I'm sure they have nothing.
Which I think is fucked up in itself, because it's a big college town, and as we've seen, fucking white kids riot.
And they shoot other people at their schools. But so my response to what happened would be, first of all those pictures came out the night before. Am I correct with the Tiki Home Depot torches things? And
yeah, that's Friday night.
So after the response of that, I'm like, do y'all niggas not know what's about to like happen the next day? Like, it's gonna pop up. People are gonna come to protest, and of course, like we were out there peacefully or whatever. But the fact that their protest is so much more turned than ours ever have been. Period. Like, they're protesting a statue being brought down, but they're out there talking about white lives matter. Cool, we said Black Lives Matter. Okay, maybe that's not the biggest deal, but then they're out there like leave this country and calling people faggots and this and that and like bringing their own militia. They walked in there with their own militias. They're the fake bootleg people who couldn't make it into the military or the police force, so they thought they're gonna bring it upon themselves to bring their own guns and shit in there. Like, we're cool with that too. Like, they're doing so much extra stuff that we don't even ever do, and that's what bothers me. Like, if one Black person ever walked around with anything, even if they had a fatigue on, like it might have been the Browns or something, but if they had some fatigue on or a gun in an open carry area, you think like they let one person through there without like raising hell? But all these bootleg, fake, wannabe army people like hopped in there, and it's just like, come on, y'all know better, man. Like, I think it's terrible. And then the fact that they killed a young white woman and people still didn't turn up on that, we're doomed.
I'll let you know, America don't care, boy. You kill a white woman, boy.
They didn't care about a white woman, we're done. Like, it's a wrap on us. They don't care about it.
The wild shit about what you just said is I just thought about you know, niggas dressed in fatigues and what sort of message that sends, or how white people interpret that. Is I remember when the Dallas shooting happened with the guy who was attacking the Dallas police officers, and remember they were trying to find who that guy was, and they picked some random guy that had on army fatigues and a gun who was marching with his gun. They were like, that's a Dallas shooter. And it was like, these niggas that had no proof. They just automatically assumed that a Black dude in army fatigues was who was doing the shooting. Also interesting, right? I actually had to look this up. I don't know if anybody remembers this, because, you know, niggas getting beaten up by the police is like the sun coming up every morning. It's not some shit that you even think about. You just know that it happens. Martise Johnson in 2015, the UVA college kid who got beat up by the campus police, right? Like, that was 2 years ago.
Yep.
That wasn't even that long.
It wasn't even campus police. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. It was
no, go ahead. Who?
It was ABC cops. They're alcohol and beverage control cops. Literally, like
a bar.
Yeah, he was trying to get into a bar, and they stomped him out over thinking he had a fake ID.
So there you go.
He was like the SGA president or some shit like that.
Yeah, he wasn't I was about to say he wasn't no low life nigga, but
he was.
I was about to say, no, even if he was, but I'm saying that wasn't where I was trying to go with this. Like, yeah, you wouldn't even know low life nigga. That wasn't where I was trying to go with that. I used to live in Fredericksburg, which, if nobody knows where that is, in Virginia, it's like KKK land. Like, Fredericksburg is like, it's like if you can see the live, if you're watching the live show, you can see my fingers. It's like this big. If you can't, it's like that big. Fredericksburg, right? I got pulled over in Fredericksburg once. I thought that shit was going to be the end of my life. Like, I thought that was going to be the end. So when I'm watching the stuff that's happening in Charlottesville, I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not surprised that this shit is going down in Charlottesville. Like, UVA probably got like 0.6% Black people. So white people descending on that campus to do things like defend Robert E. Lee's statue is not exactly surprising. And it's like, I'm watching this stuff happen. At some point, I'm like, God damn, I'm tired. I'm tired of reading about this shit. Like, white people are exhausting, dog. Like, white people are always out here doing the absolute most for the absolute least reason.
It's 6%.
Apple Care told me.
You hear me?
Who was it on Twitter or something that they were like, yo, white people have had a 400-year plus head start on us, and they're still threatened.
That was probably the homie. That was probably the homie no cut card. I definitely saw that.
Yeah. Like, bro, you're right. Like, how insecure and like how low does your self-esteem have to be that you're so worried about Black people?
Well, it's right. I don't even think it's worried about Black people. I think the problem is like they just don't want shit to change. And and the thing is, I don't.
They ain't doing shit though. It's like,
but listen, I don't blame white people for not wanting shit to change, because if everything benefited me, I would never want anything to change. So I completely understand that. However, I mean, you know, my feelings don't matter. So
let me ask you this, Garfield. Let me ask you this. As a man, shit benefits you, right?
Yeah,
as a man.
But
hey,
you just get empathize.
listen,
You get empathize for women though, right?
Listen, I'm still black. I'm still black.
That's
so
not my action though.
No, I know, no. The reason why I responded in that manner is because when I say I'm still black, that means that I still understand what it means to be oppressed. So I can see that in another group and empathize with that and feel like I should be able to fight for that. If I'm a white man, ain't nobody oppressing me. It's like, damn, nigga, y'all niggas infringing on my rights because, nigga, I'm used to getting everything. I'm used to owning niggas. I'm used to saying whatever the fuck I want in public spaces or private spaces. I'm not used to niggas telling me that I'm not allowed to say some shit. I'm not used to people making me feel bad for being white. I'm not used to people making me feel bad for being a man. So, yeah, if I was a white man, I'd be angry too. I completely understand the anger. I just don't understand, like, why you think that it's okay for you to kill other people because you're angry. That shit doesn't make any sense to me.
And you don't have to be angry because if you put in the work.
Whoa, niggas. Whoa. Time out, niggas. Relax. One at a time. Go ahead, Lex.
I was going to say, too, when you were like, I understand why they're angry. At first, my first thought was to say, but you know what? These people who are the main ones always out here angry and talking all this shit are the broke white people who, you know, they're angry and they're really not even benefiting from that much either. But then I realized, like, oh yeah, at this protest, they made sure that they pointed out the fact that these are like not just like some random inbreds like from the farmhouse. Like a lot of these people were like regular ass affluent white people, and it reminds you that these people are all around you every day. Like people are really like mad, and they're the people that you go to at the doctor's office or like at the bank or whatever. And it's just, I think it was super sad. It was dope how everybody started calling their names out though. And like they started getting on these phone calls and whatever else. But the fact that somebody else was like, yeah, they know they're going to still go to work on Monday and be cool. You're right. And like, that's the point that we always try to make, that they have all this privilege, but unfortunately they had to be racist. So can't fuck with them.
All right. So I want to move on to the next portion of the conversation, because Lex brought this up earlier when they were talking about, or somebody brought this up earlier when they were talking about the police response to all these white people showing up. The difference between white protests and black protests are really fucking stark. Like, people pointed this out before when they were talking about, you know, college towns when their college teams win and the white students go outside and they quote unquote celebrate what the police response looks like to that. But we also talk about, like, we talk about Ferguson, we talk about Baltimore, we talk about what happened in Louisiana, where black people are protesting state-sanctioned killings of other black people and how the police respond to that. And we always kind of wondered, like, we knew how they responded to white people, but it was very, very interesting to see how they responded to the militiamen and all this violent stuff that was happening in Charlottesville, where the police decided, yo, we're getting the fuck out of here. We're not even going to be dealing with this shit. There were 4 arrests over the weekend. I think they arrested like 100 niggas when they was protesting in Ferguson. So Shamira, can you talk about, you know, the difference? Shamira, I'm sorry, it's the Jim Beam. I'm sorry, Shamira, talk to me about the difference in response between white protests and black protests, particularly with Charlottesville.
Right. So you don't even need to like wait till Charlottesville to figure that out. I've marched a fair amount of times. I'm in New York in response to police brutality and police violence, much to the protestation of my mom, who thinks I'm going to get my paper snatched from me if I get arrested. But either way, when you go to the marches, even the ones that are centered around Black liberation, you'll notice something very stark, which is that usually the Black population in those marches is, yes, we're yelling, yes, we're marching, but it's very focused, very organized. No one's really trying to cause a ruckus in those scenarios because the riot police are at the ready, right? Then there'll be pockets where it gets rowdy as fuck out of nowhere. You're wondering what the fuck is going on. And like 8 times out of 10, and I'm speaking really anecdotally, of course, but 8 times out of 10, it's some white folks who think they're being super allies by like walking up and punching niggas in the face, right? And it's like, we're not all trying to die, dog. Like, march with us or create your own march where you can be violent as fuck, but like, we're not trying to get there, right? So that's prior to Charlottesville. Now, looking at Charlottesville specifically, I think one thing that hasn't been discussed as much is, one, yes, they were out here like fucking spitting on the police and nothing was happening. But also, like, the way that the police in Charlottesville approached the march and the protest was an approach of containment. So a lot of why the police weren't actually inside the protest was because everything was happening within a park called Millennium Park. And so they surrounded the park to try to keep people from coming in or out. So they're like, we'll just let these white folks fight each other out and get tired and not try to get involved, which is a completely different approach than they've used for any other sort of stand-up I've seen in any other situation, right? So not only were they letting white folks mollywop them to their heart's content, they also were really trying to find the least violent way to contain the situation as possible, which isn't a privilege we are generally afforded.
Because they don't want to take lives in the case like that, and they don't see them as a threat, but it's like as soon as they see some brown skin, like, oh, we got to bring in all these weapons and militia, and it's...
Right. And you also got to realize that the police think that our protests are specific acts of aggression against them, right? And I mean, well, yeah, they are, but like, you know, like...
But even in our protests, we're not dumb enough to ever actually do anything to a police officer, which is
right.
The ironic thing about all of this.
Right, but they go into the protests that we conduct with like a personal vested, you know, perspective of like, these people are here to attack me, right? And when you go to a situation like this whole Confederate nonsense, it's in a state where, you know, first of all, Virginia very invested in perpetuating the story that Robert E. Lee is a very complex man, right? And a lot of them probably low-key agree with the protest, right? A lot of them low-key believe, yeah, no, Robert E. Lee is more than just a racist and a Confederate general. He's also a scholar and educator who believed in honor above everything and regretted his role in the Confederacy, because that's what's perpetuated in schools. That's what's perpetuated during the holiday. That's what's said when you give school tours that feature Robert E. Lee. And not as much is discussed about the fact that, like, nah, the nigga was fucked up top to bottom. But, you know, I think those two different perspectives kind of affect how it's looked at.
All right, Lex.
What am I answering?
The question about how you feel about the difference in response between white and black protests.
I think it's interesting that with our protests, they like plan ahead of time the force they're gonna come with. With this one, how many months did they know that this was set and like that they? Because one of the guys got like a permit to be out there or whatever, and the fact that, like you said earlier, the fact that the police were like, "Oh, this is too much for us," and they left. Is it not your fucking job to like make sure the shit is on point and like that nobody's harmed and then there's no danger, or for you to arrest the people who are, you know, providing like whatever harm to other people? Like, you left, but they would never do that at ours. Like, this shit, the whole shit doesn't make sense. And I'm about to go off on a I hate white people rant again, and I don't want to do that. So let's pass this to this. Nah,
those
I'm
are
like,
the best rants, Lex. Those are the best rants.
Nah, because I almost looked at my phone and I already tweeted about some shit, and I was like, nah. Because they don't have nothing to do with it on Twitter, but this is here, so it doesn't make any sense to me.
Des?
I mean, the issue that I have is that we don't really have a way to respond that's just like uniform. Like, if you see these wide variations, we know it's because they're racist. We know it's because, I mean, honestly, some of those police, like, nobody saw a black man get beat in the building literally next to the police station. Some of these police were involved. Some of these police were like, you know what, I'm going home, or I'm going to go take off my badge and I'm going to blend in. I mean, the thing that blows my mind is I saw something. It was like there were 4 arrests this weekend. And usually at overall Black Lives Matter is like 155 arrests. And there were 4 this weekend, and they killed somebody. Like, my thing was this: if black people ever turned up like that, I think the only thing they would be worried about is when they spray in the crowd of black people, they will hit any white ones. That's the only thing. That's the only thing they'd be worried about. If let's say, let's just change the optics. 6 black men beat white men in a parking garage with the Pan-African flag. Like, dog, they be out here hunting us.
Wilding the fuck out. Absolutely.
We're looking for Tyrone.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have the guards and people on deck thinking about the people who would come protest the white people, if that makes sense. Like, even if they're like, oh, free speech, and we can talk about. But that's what I would think, that they would be like, okay, we know some people are going to come out here. Some black people are probably going to come out here and protest this. So now let's bring people out for them. Like, not even that, though. So, I don't know.
They bounced.
Tunde.
So, you remember Cliven Bundy and his followers?
Yeah, you got.
No, they were out here in Oregon pointing fucking AR-15s at police officers, and police officers did nothing. Like, and then you see what they did in Charlottesville, and couple that with white students burning down fucking turnover cars, burning trash cans, doing all types of shit. But in Baton Rouge, when they were peacefully walking down the street, you remember the red guy got arrested for not walking on the sidewalk when there was no sidewalk?
Uh-huh.
It's awesome bullshit. But
I mean, you gotta remember, even when I was just thinking, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just thinking, even when they were in Ferguson, remember they were passing all these weird ass laws that, you know, you can't stand in one spot for like a certain amount of time. You have to be marching or walking or doing something in place. If you weren't doing something, if you were staying in the area too long, they would arrest you. Like, white people would just be like wild. Like, black existence makes white people nervous.
So scared.
No. But they're not scared. They're not scary. They're just scared. They're scared of black people. Like, white people do all this weird shit that doesn't cause them any fear. They'll bungee jumping. Niggas be fighting
with raccoons.
They
gonna scoop down with sharks.
Did you say fuck? Did you say fuck raccoons? Is that what you just said?
I hate Lex, so.
They don't.
Jesus Christ. We're going to the next one. Wait,
Garfield, I want to say something. I was like,
right, go ahead.
The reason that they feel that way is guilt. Because they know if they're not actively racist, they're probably not saying that about the racism that they see. And they walk around guilty and scared. They see black people like, that nigga's
evil doesn't get guilty, yo. Nah.
Yeah, you gotta have a conscience.
That's fair.
You gotta have a conscience to be guilty. You gotta have a conscience to be guilty. But you know, white guilt is actually something that's really fucking weird, right? Like, white guilt is always like, are you guys actually guilty, or are you like trying to make sure that niggas ain't on top of your head?
Well, I just get a text that said, fuck raccoons.
Yeah, I definitely saw that.
No, I got a text.
But listen, so we talk about when white people feel guilty, it's always like this weird shit. Like, you can't actually tell if they're guilty or if they're like, they just don't want the problems, right? So this is not us hashtag. Like, do you guys actually believe any of that, or do you feel like it's like more performative bullshit? Shamira.
You gonna get it. It's gonna take you 5 tries, but you gonna get it, Garfield.
Listen, it's the Jim Beam, goddammit. At some point, I'm gonna get it right.
I did too much too. I'm sorry.
It's not gonna be right now. Goddamn.
That's cool. So the short version is a bunch of nonsense, right? Like, I think everyone's able to decry like hard R racism, or like just like people can say using the N-word is wrong, right? But when you really get into it and against the weeds of it, like, white supremacy is upheld by a lot of people in so many other ways that it's no point to say this is not us. Because one, it fucking is us, because those statues are up and they were built by some white people. It wasn't built by my black ass, right? And two, like, okay, so you're not the one that like killed somebody for a statue, but you're the one that went to a city council meeting and cried because your public school kid got redistricted to the hood kids, and you didn't pay $1 million for your condo to go to schools with black people, right? So like, I mean, which one is really better, right? It's like, I think the whole point of this, when we talk about critical racial discussions or gender discussions or whatever, is that making yourself some sort of weird exception is preposterous, because what you're really trying to do is separate yourself and make yourself feel better. Doesn't make us feel better. Doesn't make the people who got killed feel better. It just gives you this false and superior, say, I would never do that. Like, well, here's a cookie, like, shit's still a problem. So what do you want to do about it, you know? Like, so for me, it's kind of stupid, because the whole point is that white supremacy is an institution. It's upheld throughout every single system of our government, our policy, our capitalism, throughout everything. It's not something you can just untangle by some statute. So like, congratulations, you wouldn't protest the statue coming down. But would you really want to confront the fact that like the way you moved ahead in society probably came at the cost of somebody else's livelihood? Like, are you going to confront that? Probably not, right? So, okay, the statue's not you, but that other shit's you. So where do we go from here?
That's real. Tunde.
So I think that the hashtag, I put it on the same level as that bullshit ass march that they had in DC after Trump got elected. It's all for show. I think it is because, you know, you had people out there with their, what kind of hats were they? The like pink pussy hats and shit like that they had.
Oh yeah.
From the women's march?
Yeah, the women's march.
Yeah, like they feel guilty, and it's a way of kind of like, I guess, lessening some of the guilt they feel. And to me, a hashtag in this case, your fake ass march is not going to do anything to end police violence or race or systematic racism. Like, what is going to end it is, you know, you going to talk to your fucking racist ass husband or your son or your brother or whoever else that you know is racist behind closed doors, but probably has the power to affect a black person's life, but they still have those viewpoints. Maybe you should talk to them instead of, you know, getting on Twitter and talking about it's not me. It is you.
Des?
My thing, I think the whole thing that bothers me is just like, dog, these people, they're not going to be held accountable. We ain't going to be able to, like, actually make people do the right thing. I think if somebody really wants to be an ally or something, you actually have to get out there, do the work. Go ahead.
That's
it? I thought you were about to hit us with one of the conspiracies.
Can I also say that, like, allies, I'll jump in here. Like, I'm done with the word ally. Like, that's canceled for me.
Canceled.
Like, I just think it's
canceled, nigga.
Because I like, there are good white people out there.
Bitch, where?
But
my fucking grandfather is white, and I still get those fucking random ass Trump mail and conservative emails. Pass this along, and this is a good story, bitch. Mike, I'm about to block my grandfather. Des, where?
I didn't say he was. Goddamn, dog. I didn't say he was good.
Bitch, where?
There are some out there.
I think, okay, I will say, I do believe, just like in any demographic, there are people who do care, that want to help, even if they're doing it the completely wrong way, or even if they're centering themselves in the discussion without amplifying other people of color, or a variety of other ways that we kind of ends up in the nonsense bullshit, right? Like, even this whole, now there's this whole wave of like, black woman warned y'all, listen to black women kind of like performative
Let
nonsense.
black women lead the way for y'all.
And I'm like, listen, I've been tired. I've been marching. I've been taking my steps. I got my Fitbit. I got other shit to do. Like, y'all can beat each other's asses up, and I'm gonna eat some Cheetos. Like, 2 days to it.
Flaming hot.
Like, I'm good, you know? Like, don't act like you need to use us as some moral arbiter for decency. Don't act like we have to be the guy for how to untangle white supremacy. You guys invented the shit. You guys can figure out how to untangle it. I'm gonna take a nap and keep waiting for my direct deposit to hit.
That's real. All right, last comment from Lex.
So first of all, I'm really glad I'm self-employed, but even after all the things I said about white people, my take on this, what is it? This isn't us. I don't even know what the fuck they said. This is not us. My take on that hashtag is that I honestly think that people think that they're doing a good thing when they say that, and that they really were trying to not help necessarily, but that's their way of taking a stand and saying, we're sorry, we're not all like this, whatever. But it's so much more than that, that as you guys have all kind of said, you can't just say, oh, not all white people are not, you know, I'm not like this. But then you actually have to do something in practice that shows that you're not. And it's easy when you see people getting killed or when you see people saying like Black people don't matter it's easy to say that's not something you should say. But then when you hear all the comments around you every day and see things every day, and you might not even like pick up on the racist shit that's like so regular, but you don't say anything about that, or you don't have any say. I'm not saying everybody has to be like on a pedestal and with the mic in their hand preaching all day like the Israelites on the corner, but it's the little things, right, that they can be doing. And I just need them to know that they need to be doing those little things and not just saying, well, not me, because that's not enough.
Yeah, I kind of feel like white people are going to have to hold other white people accountable because niggas can't do nothing about what white people are trying to do, right? Like, we've been telling white people for as long as they've been, as long as you've been around, hey, nigga, the shit that y'all are doing is kind of fucked up, and y'all probably need to, like, holler at y'all kinfolk about that. So when I saw the "This is not us" hashtag, it just reminds me that, like, white people are protected from everything, including their own history. Right. Like I saw somebody talking about Robert E. Lee today, and they were like, yeah, he was somebody actually said that Robert E. Lee was defending the rights of Black people. It's like, no, that nigga owned slaves. And
he's a traitor.
Yeah. And I mean, it is very
He didn't want to be an American. So what the fuck are y'all defending when these fucking people didn't even want to fucking be in this country? But America?
This is America? It's a flag against the U.S. It's a symbol of terror.
Right. So the narrative that's taught a lot in Virginia schools and in reading his later journals and a lot. I'm unfortunately more knowledgeable about this than I care to talk about, but is that, you know, yes, Robert E. Lee supported the Confederacy and fought for the Confederacy, but he never really believed in the Confederacy. He just thought it was the honorable thing to do because he is from the South. And then after everything happened, he regretted everything that happened, went and settled in Virginia in his final days, became a man of honor and words, gave money to where I went to school in Southwest Virginia, and focused on the academic pursuit of integrity and so on and so forth. And of course was full of shame for, you know, owning Black people for as many years as he did, even though he still owned Black people. But that's neither here nor there. So it's always constructed in some narrative of him being this like never-ending tortured soul, like it's a bad teen soap, right? No matter how much evidence is provided to the contrary, no matter how many 10,000 word screeds that can be published on the Atlantic, proving most of it to be an abject falsehood, there's people who are still going to be very convinced that Robert Lee was a complex person, but ultimately wanted to be a good man. And aren't we all just complex people trying to be good?
Right, because none of that shit makes any sense. Because when we talk about Nazi officers being like, hey, I was just following orders, nobody gives them that kind of leeway. We don't go, hey, man, you probably wanted to be a good guy, but Adolf Hitler told you that you had to kill people and gas them and set them on fire. So that's okay because you're just doing your fucking job. Nobody really wants to hear that shit. Another thing that nobody really wants to hear is Donald Trump's comments.
Fuck him.
This nigga, boy, this nigga Don Trump. I don't know what's going on with your boy, right? His initial statement, we're going to get into his statements that he made. He made 3 statements. He made 2 statements that I emailed you guys about, and then right after I emailed the whole team about those statements, this nigga got on TV and made another statement that completely contradicted everything that he said before, right? So Donald Trump's initial statement was that there was violence on quote unquote many sides, and that it's not this. The things that have been happening in Charlottesville have been happening for a quote very long time. You know, it's not Donald Trump, it's not Barack Obama, because anything that Donald Trump does has to be centered around Barack Obama at some point during whatever the fuck he's doing, right? So basically his whole speech on I believe it was Saturday was, hey, I'm not going to denounce white supremacy. I'm not going to denounce neo-Nazis. I'm not going to denounce what's happening in Charlottesville per se, but, you know, I'm going to make this statement so that, you know, I said something because people have been getting on my ass because I haven't said anything. Then on Sunday or Monday, because I don't really know my days like that, he put out another statement. And the statement was saying he took a more quote unquote forward step towards speaking against white supremacy and speaking against neo-Nazis. And the weird thing is, you know, on those white supremacist websites, people were actually saying on the message boards, he didn't speak against us, or he didn't really come out forward and take a strong stance against us. So even though he was talking, people felt like he wasn't really saying anything to that effect that made anybody feel confident that he was saying anything against neo-Nazis.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the comments in the chat.
No, that's real. So then today, which is Tuesday, this motherfucker did another press conference, and Jesus Christ.
Terrible.
This nigga Donald Trump was talking about the alt left, saying that people showed up to the protest, the counter protesters showed up to the protest to be violent, that there was violence on both sides, that there are good people on both sides, which means that Donald Trump thinks that neo-Nazis, there are some good neo-Nazis in the world, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. And it was just, there was so much anger. And usually when I see these things, I get like, I feel like sometimes people go out of their way to prove that Donald Trump is a bad person. And I don't like that, because I feel like we already knew that Donald Trump is a bad person. So you don't need to oversell me on that.
It's real simple to see.
Right. Like we already know that he's a piece of shit. So saying things like he didn't call the victim that was killed by the terrorist attack after she was ran over by another person. People just go through different ways to point out all the things that show that Donald Trump is a bad person. But it's like, nigga, if you paid attention for the last year and a half, you already knew that he was a piece of shit. If you paid attention for the last, 30 years, you already knew he was a piece of shit. So I want to talk about what to make of Trump's comments. And when I originally sent that was when he made only 2 statements. And then today he made the third one. Shamira, I got it right this time. Thank you very much. What do you feel about Trump's comments between Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and today, Tuesday?
Can I go first this time? No. Or our guest can go first, Shamira.
Yeah, I said Shamira. I didn't say Shamira.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. You can go after me, I guess.
That's fine.
They're ridiculous, and I don't know what else to say, because I don't think I'm physically capable of being shocked by Trump's statements. Like every time people are like, "Oh, this is the floor," he just grabs a shovel and is like, "Nah, I got you, nigga. There's a new level," right? So for me, Trump could get on stage tomorrow and be like, "Yo, yeah, David Duke's the homie, and what?" Put up a gang sign and be like, "Yeah, whatever." You know what? I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, okay, that's just kind of where we're at now." You know what I mean? And I'm laughing at it because I don't know what else to do but laugh at it. Obviously, it's deeply troubling and ridiculous and embarrassing for a whole host of reasons. But what the fuck else he gonna say? You know what I mean? He's above and beyond the pale. He's doing the most. He deserves to get punched in the face 7 times. But maybe I should have not said that because I don't want the Secret Service shut off my place. But either way,
we'll just know that you didn't commit suicide.
Okay,
we will know that. We'll understand that you didn't commit suicide, and that's not not where you was at with it.
Yeah, but I mean, the nigga is trifling and a scum of a human being. And also just what I will say this. I am consistently amazed by how truly inarticulate he is. I've taken, as someone who English is my second language, so I had to take a lot of speech classes and really work on mastering my English and how I think and how I construct sentences. Good. And so I did that all throughout grade school, right? And then
what's your first
did
language,
debate
girl?
and all that. French is my first language. And
What?
You just got married. Bye.
But so it really does amaze me that he constructs sentences and articulates thoughts worse than my family in France who I just visited and who don't speak English whatsoever, right? They can construct and articulate ideas better in English than he can. And he's our fucking head of state. But that's really just my last thought. The nigga is a Looney Tune, and that's kind of where we're at.
Lex?
I mean, what are we expecting to say? And honestly, at this point, I don't even care if he's saying the wrong things, because at this point, what he says is so far off and so far right that you can't even defend it anymore. That it's like way more people now are like, yeah, like you're wilding out now. Like nobody, you can't defend that anymore, like at all. You would think that at least he was already late when he made his first statement, and when he did make that, he could at least have just left it at that. But now he's like, nah, nigga, I got something else to say. I'm gonna just speak, say what's on my heart, which is some racist shit that came out. Talking about I got businesses in Charlottesville. It's a good community. Of course he has to drop his fucking tag for his business, which they've since said, nah, we don't know him. Like, he don't got nothing to do with this. But it's just like, for what? Like, everything is about him. And to me, he's just like, I don't know. This shit just feels like an episode of Black Mirror. And I'm low-key glad that he just says whatever he wants to say, because nobody fucks with him. Like, nobody. Even the people who think they fuck with him are like, damn, dog, you're making this so embarrassing. I can't even publicly fuck with you. So everybody's dropping, leaving him. People don't support him. Fuck him. I don't care what he says. I don't expect him to say the right thing because he's racist. Indeed.
Tunde?
I don't think everyone is leaving him. I think he's speaking to his base. Like, his base are fucking bigots and, people who are racist. So he's going to say anything that doesn't offend them. Like, he's never going to come out and denounce someone who's a bigot.
If he was smart, I'm sorry.
You look at what David Duke said about, we're just fulfilling Trump's promise or whatever about taking our nation back. Like, when you think about taking the country back, take it back from who? Like, white people are still the fucking majority. They still have all the power. So who exactly are we taking the country back from? Like, white people are not white people. People who support Donald Trump and support bigotry are mad.
People.
Well, okay, white people. Saying it was white people who voted him into office.
53%.
White people women in the majority support Donald Trump, right? And I think that's definitely a response to the progress we made under President Obama, right? So if you look back at like the history of this country, right? Like, every time there's been some type of progression or progress for people of color, there's always some pushback or a backlash from the right or from people who are racist, right? You have emancipation, and then you have Reconstruction, right? And then after that, you have the creation of the KKK the first time, and then you have end of segregation, and then in response to that, you have people the backlash in the South across with people sicking their dogs on people who want these laws enforced, and now you have President Barack Obama, first black president. In response to that, you get the bullshit we see today. So Trump, all he's doing is repeating history and catering to people who think just like him.
All right, Des?
So, like, with Trump, I mean, we know what he is. He's a human booger. But I think that it's incumbent upon the rest of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, any elected official on a federal level, judges included. This is a president who has not taken the forward step of denouncing both Nazis and separatist terrorists. If this guy's not doing this, it is incumbent upon you as an elected official to get his ass out of office. Not to mention there's already suspicion about him colluding with another country, being beholden to another country possibly. He needs to go, and it's on everybody to get him out of office, because that's why they're separating themselves, because they're like, hey, look, we will do this quiet, mouth service to racism, but we're not trying to be caught out here acting like racist. So
like, we at least try to keep it under wraps.
Right. He's the worst. What really needs to happen now, people got to start being elected officials, got to start being very serious about that push to be like, yo, you sided with the Nazis, my nigga. Like, nobody
fucking legit Nazis.
I don't think they care. I mean, I don't anybody about siding with the Nazis. Like, I I think that white people are so far gone at this point that aligning with the Nazis is probably sounds more appealing to them than actually doing the right thing, which is not being pieces of shit. So I don't even really know.
I mean, look at what happened with the election, right? Like you said, the majority of white people voted for Trump, right? And instead of us discussing how the majority of white people voted for a blatant racist and bigot and idiot, we talked about, oh wait, let us understand their motivations. Like, what kind of motivations you need to understand about voting for a racist, bigot, idiot? What kind of meeting the minds do you ever need to have about this discussion, right? But yeah, there was supposed to be some sort of investigation there.
Yeah, so niggas always want to talk about everything.
Right, because niggas all of a sudden everybody wanted to understand. Everybody wanted to understand white nationalists. Everybody wanted to understand, you know, what's going on in middle America, why they're suffering from all this racism is because of they're all racist.
They want to be oppressed so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It was all about the struggles of the white working class, as if a black working class doesn't exist. Like, nigga, I've been poor my whole life. Like, I just stopped being broke like yesterday. And it's only like kind of not broke. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's one of those, it's a frustrating circle jerk of a discussion. They don't care. They're not going to care. It's pointless to pretend that like this one extreme racist act is going to be the shock that changes everything.
And you know what's crazy? For the longest time, I used to try to figure out like why this pull yourself up by the bootstraps thing was like a thing. And then I finally figured it out, right? Like when you're white, like the whole world is at your fingertips. So like even if you're kind of white and you're not the kind of white that people accept, you're still white. So you can probably just pass anyway. And all you gotta do is pull yourself up by the bootstraps. There shouldn't be any white homeless people. White people homeless people should the entire system.
You ever heard that Paul Mooney joke?
Whitey?
You said what?
You ever heard that Paul Mooney joke?
No.
He was like, whenever I see a homeless white person on the street, I just look at him like, what a waste of that good white skin.
Right, because there's no reason, like everything is set up for you to win and you still lose. And I think that because white people don't understand, don't care anything. No, I was gonna say don't understand, but they don't care anything about black people. They think that everything is exactly the fucking same. So like, well, black people will be able to make it further if they just pull themselves up by the bootstraps. No, you're really talking about white people. Okay, there should be no broke white people in America. Everything that is created in this country is created for you to succeed. So if you failed, you're just fucking lazy. Like you just don't want to succeed. Okay, I'm black. I gotta do way more shit just to be able to get on the floor of white people. White people are already starting on the floor. Like you're born, you're on the floor, nigga. You just gotta do the bare minimum. You gotta do the bare fucking minimum. All you gotta do is show up, nigga. Perfect attendance, and you good. You gotta do nothing else. You get points for being white, and it's all good. So when I see white homeless people or white people that don't succeed, I don't feel sorry for those niggas. I see poor white people, they gotta smoke crystal meth, and niggas got opioid addictions and shit. I don't feel bad for them. I don't give a fuck. Why should I care? Nigga, the whole world is set up for you to succeed, and you are falling below fucking expectations. Nigga, that is your bad, not mine.
Damn.
So, now that we got all that bullshit out of the way, let's end the podcast on a somewhat positive note. Let's talk about Insecure, nigga. So,
nigga.
Everybody's just gonna get it.
You said positive note. Marvin said about this shit every Monday.
Marvin said that drink hitting Garfield. Yeah, it is.
Nah, I did. It really did.
He said this nigga's lit. Bro, listen, Garfield, cheers. So that shit hit me like 30 minutes ago, bro.
At the 62
when I said they fucked raccoons.
Yeah, you really was
already gone.
So listen, let's talk about Insecure and the bullshit that passed off this fucking Sunday with Lawrence. This nigga is just out here doing the absolute fucking most and somehow absolute least at the same time. Lawrence had a threesome. That shit didn't go as planned.
It was like a 2.5-some.
Right, like that doesn't even really count.
Yeah,
I had a threesome with 2 cokeheads. That shit don't count.
Listen, wait.
My unofficial rule with body counts, not that I ascribe to such a thing, is that if I didn't have an orgasm, it never counted. So I really feel like that threesome doesn't count.
I feel like women are always trying to figure out a way to lower that body count. Y'all niggas be cheating. Y'all definitely be cheating.
I mean, I don't give a fuck.
Y'all be like, nigga, I didn't have sex with that nigga on top of the car, so that body doesn't count. I don't know why y'all don't. y'all be making up some rules to take niggas off the list, which is cool. I ain't got no problem with that. I want to talk about Kelly getting finger fucked at the dinner at the Wendy's dinner table because that was lit. It's very lit. Issa and Daniel, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on there, but you know, whatever. And should Molly smash the married dude who claims he's in an open relationship? So we're gonna start with this question. Did the Lawrence Hive take an L this weekend? Tunde, go first.
I say no.
Why do you say no?
Okay. Yeah, his threesome didn't go as planned. Okay, I'm gonna say.
He really tried to avoid saying, but he still smashed though, because that's really what his only point.
No.
I mean,
he had sex with 2 white girls, like on some like Jesus.
One was half Asian, I think.
Like he was like on a recruitment visit. Like
getting a scholarship to a D1 school.
I know, right? But I mean, he got free liquor, and see, he took an L because like the 2 women he had sex with said, like, if you know you can't get it back up, why come? If your refractory period is trash, then hey, I need a break real quick. But you know, I guess
they did try to pressure him.
Yeah, they did. But I mean,
yeah, they didn't even offer any oral assistance or nothing. They're like,
nothing.
But
she went on hard. That one girl, she was stingy because she went extra hard, knowing like he was getting hyped.
But even before then, like, he had one girl right in his face while he was having sex with the other one.
So what?
I can't remember if it was a girl who got mad in the first place.
I feel like Timmy's trying not to incriminate himself as he talks. About these shit. Don't get your ass in trouble on this podcast, nigga. We don't live with you.
Not for though. Like the girl who got mad because she didn't get any dick, right? Was that the same girl who's right in his face, or the one who was?
Yeah.
That was the one that was right in his face.
Yeah.
Yes. First time. Because threesome etiquette says, like, if she was riding his dick the first time, and then she's the one who made him come, they should have switched places right after then.
I'm about to say it's the white girl that she should have been mad at, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly. Because she should have been like, bitch.
If you follow threesome etiquette.
Exactly.
Okay.
We got to write a book.
Okay, Lex, since
what was the question? Did Lawrence Hive take an L?
Did Lawrence Hive take an L this weekend?
No. Lawrence Hive did not take an L, and I will not call it an L because he got pulled over, he left alive, he got his groceries paid for, he had sex, he came. Nothing bad happened. Like, let's be real. Nothing bad happened. I mean, yes, he's at the point in the broken up mid stage where, damn, like, this shit's not as cool as I thought. You know what I mean? Like, when you get to the point where you're hoeing out, not me, but like guys, like, be hoeing out, but all of a sudden it's like, man, I do want to like down girl, like go back to my girl, whatever. But he didn't take no L. They use condoms according to Issa Rae on Twitter. Ain't nobody seeing them.
Air quote that.
Listen.
they didn't use no goddamn condoms.
Because she said that on Twitter and nobody actually saw that.
Listen.
Okay, cool.
How many shows today actually show somebody putting a condom on?
I said that because that's the only thing that could be hell is if like there were some consequences, but I don't think there are. Like he got his nut off, he left. Like they embarrassed him, but fuck them bitches. Like he doesn't know them. He'll probably never see them again. They used him as a little fetish.
They probably had sex with a raccoon before him.
Probably did.
Dez, Mr. Polygamous, open relationship,
I am polyamory.
Polygamous.
Whatever.
Yeah, like,
how do you feel about what happened with Lawrence?
I think the thing with Lawrence is it was consensual. Like Lexi said, he didn't take a L, but it wasn't a win either. It was kind of a stalemate because his ego took a big hit, and you know, you could tell he was sad about it. And then the whole thing about like what blows me about Lawrence, man, is Lawrence is actually saying things honestly, but he's doing it without giving people real choices in the things that, like when he was apologizing to Tasha, He was like, oh, I'm sorry, I slept with Issa. Yeah, well, you should have thought about that before you did it. And Lawrence didn't take an L this time. He just didn't advance.
See,
okay, Shamira.
I'm gonna try not to rant too much. I promise.
No, rant.
No. Everybody else has said something crazy.
Everybody else rant.
No, I mean, I've been kind of very vocal in saying that I don't think Insecure is that good of a show. It's more so just topical, and I do feel that way. But I also ultimately feel like I don't understand having a Lawrence have or an Issa have because they're both awful people. Like, I don't understand being able to like stand by Lawrence because he's maybe the lamest motherfucker I've seen.
He's lame, right?
It's just like people are projecting so much into this lame ass nigga who goes to a cookout in a full button up. That dude, like, I'm still stuck on that. Like, beyond all of his nonsense, his dating and him being a nice guy that doesn't know that he's not a nice guy, all of that stuff. Like, ultimately, it's just like he is such a lame, like, passive aggressive, no balls having nigga that I just can't stand it. Like, it just drives me nuts. Like, think about how that episode was constructed, right? Like, it was constructed that, like, he was just pulled over by the police and he's working to make himself docile for this white nigga. And literally the scene after is him going into the grocery store and saying, oh yeah, these white Beckys want to randomly take me home and I'm not even gonna think it's a setup or nothing. Like, just, I don't understand any of the logic of how that would go, or any of that, how that could come off like, oh yeah, he G'd off. He didn't G off. He let himself be used by some chicks. And I know that niggas never want to hear like, oh, you didn't like get a train, you got a train, you ran a train on those chicks, but they didn't run a train on you. No, they ran a train on you. Like, they used you.
I mean, he still nutted though. He still nutted, and he said, "Oh man, that felt good." So like,
he did. He lied. It was obvious that he lied. Like, he was on the phone with his homie.
No,
like,
it was obvious that white girl was overreacting.
But listen,
as soon as she said, "You're black cock," I was like, "Oh God, please knock her out. The fuck out of here."
But to your point, when she said black cock, I was expecting nigga to come like.
Oh my God, I was ready for this.
I was ready for her to say nigga for real. I was ready for her to say with a hard R too, like that deep part of interracial porn section of Pornhub. Like, I was ready for her to go full cuckolds.
Why do white people say cock?
I don't know, because that shit sounds fucking stupid.
Because white people actually really say that.
Yeah, they really do.
Black people don't say that.
I know they don't. But here's where this is why I think the Lawrence Hive lost. I don't think it has anything to do with the threesome. I don't think it has anything to do with, you know what I'm saying, him getting out alive with the police. Here's my problem with Lawrence. That whole situation where he first met them two chicks and he was dissing his homeboy. Mm-hmm. That's where the L came from. Don't like that kind of shit. Like, if we boys, we boys. If we not boys, we not boys. I don't like niggas in the gray area. So being like,
he didn't do all that to get pussy. Like, it was an unnecessary statement. Like, we not cool like that.
Well, basically, Shamira just said everything I was just getting ready to say. So that's cool. But that's basically what I was gonna say. Like, you could have just been like, yeah, like, I got plans with the homie, but I'd rather kick it with y'all. But this whole, he's my homie. He not really my homie. I just hoop with that nigga. I don't even actually like that nigga. I'm just gonna hang out with y'all because y'all pay for the beer. It's like,
you lame.
I feel like Lawrence really don't know how to be out here in these streets, right? Like, he don't really know how the game go. He been a relationship nigga for the entirety of his 20s or a majority of his 20s or whatever, and it's like he don't really know how to move. So part of me feels like he's out here like really single for the first time. He a tall dude, he a black dude, he a relatively good looking dude. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be able to catch chicks. It's whatever. But like, he don't really know how to wield his power. He don't really know how to act in these different circumstances. So he go through this real weird phase where it's like, I feel like I gotta kind of do these things in order to placate to these people or whatever. And that whole thing with the white women is kind of like, I probably shouldn't say this as a man talking about another man, but I'm secure in my sexuality. Lawrence can't fuck. That's not his strong suit. It's not a strong suit because we watched him have sex with Issa. That shit lasted
Oh yeah.
He finished that sex before I finished my drink on this podcast. You know what I'm saying?
But he wasn't trying.
No, listen.
Yeah.
You don't make
I
this
feel you.
kind of, listen. I live by the creed that every time you have sex, you gotta go hard because it might be the last time you might be able to have sex with somebody. So I don't understand half-ass sexing. That's not where I'm at, right?
Ooh.
So listen.
Shout out your girl.
So we saw Lawrence. We saw Lawrence have sex with Tasha that first time, and it was like that whole. But he was still thinking about Issa, that whole revenge sex thing, where it's like I'm just trying to get these fucking frustrations out. I'm about to knock the line out this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And then the second time, it was kind of like, all right, it was cool. But then he had sex with Issa again. That shit was trash. He had sex with the white girls. He broke all of the threesome rules, which is trash. And then like every time I see Lawrence move, I'm just kind of like, nigga, like you don't really know what you're doing out here. Like you just really just out here like Chad is trying to school this nigga, and Lawrence is just kind of like not taking any of the fucking instruction. You know what I'm saying? Like this nigga not doing nothing.
Right. I just, as a point of note, I'm not, it's not my ministry to engage in threesomes, at least not as of yet. I really hope my mom never sees this episode. But as someone who has had friends participate in plenty, I just think it's just a general thing that many men do not have enough dick for one woman, much less two. And I think if you are just a one pussy kind of nigga, you should stay a one pussy kind of nigga and know your level and not try to reach above your weight class.
I mean, but you're not gonna try. You're not gonna not try. Like if you get two, like let me see what I can do. I don't know.
I get that.
It was exactly nothing.
But I mean, if you can't fuck, you can't fuck. You just gotta accept who you are. That nigga's like 30. Like if you know you ain't got enough dick for two women, you just gotta accept that shit, which is cool. Everybody ain't got enough dick for two women. A lot of niggas don't have enough dick for two women. A lot of niggas don't have enough dick for one woman because a lot of women be talking about they don't be getting, they ain't never had no orgasm before. I can't relate to that kind of shit, but I mean, if you a nigga and a woman never had an orgasm with you, I mean, kill yourself or learn how to do better. I don't know what to tell you. But speaking of shit that is, I ain't even got a good transition. Kelly getting finger banged under this table, my nigga. Listen, I was watching the show and Kelly just stopped in mid-conversation. And I was like, what the fuck happened to my TV? Like, what's going on? I thought the sound
I did too.
I legit thought that she was having a seizure, and she was having a seizure.
Fingering ain't that good that you got to stop all the way. Like,
but listen.
Maybe not.
But listen, I just want to say, shout out to all the real niggas that's still out here fingering women. You know what I mean? That is still a thing. Niggas is out here.
While a dick is in you.
Rub the shit out of that clit and just look and just have a regular conversation while she losing her fucking mind. You know what I mean? I'm definitely a part of that hive. Shout out to the finger bang hive.
Advertising?
I don't know if that's not advertising. I don't know if that's a hive, but if there is a hive, shout out to the finger bang hive. Bang, figure out. We out here.
Ew, they're like agreeing with you in the chat. Talking about finger bang, gang. Yeah, nasty.
So last season, I kind of felt like they was doing Kelly wrong because she was the big girl. She was the hyper sexy big girl, and she wasn't never getting no dick. But this season, she done lost a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? Now she getting finger banged under the table. How do y'all feel about that, Shamira? Talk to me.
Yeah, so I am a public sex acts enthusiast. So I'm not necessarily, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. However, there are certain places where just for hygienic reasons, it's just not popping off. One, right next to where my food is at. Two, on the New York City subway. Three, right next to one of my best friends. I've definitely done sex in public places or sex acts in public places close to people or maybe in earshot of people. But 4 a.m. at a diner, and listen, I've been to many a diner at 4 a.m. I'm not putting my vagina nowhere in that area. Next to my best friend who is talking to me. There are better ways to execute that shit. Like, personally speaking, I just feel like if you're about that life, that's totally cool. I understand it. I am not 100% I haven't partaken before, once or twice or thrice or whatever. But there's definitely a better way to execute it than at some like fake Waffle House situation. Because
Fake Waffle House.
Lex,
This shit was a little more upscale than that.
Lex, how do you feel about the finger bang in public situation?
I don't know. I didn't feel anything. Next,
Nothing.
like,
That's not for
nah.
you?
It was just
All
weird. But it was like, you didn't have to stop mid talking, but everybody was just weird. Everybody in this whole show is lame and weird.
She was
like if I was
also-
Issa, I would literally have looked over and been like, bitch, you really getting finger pop while talking to me? Like, I would have said something.
Not that, but like,
just
I would have kept talking or something. I don't know. It was just weird.
All right, Des.
So here's my thing, right? Y'all know I'm from Florida. I'm a Florida boy. I'm gonna throw a little bone out for my Tallahassee niggas. There's a Publix on Ocala in Tennessee.
I don't know.
And if you're from Tallahassee, you know exactly what Publix I'm talking about. I was walking down the aisle, and there was a girl being fingered by her boyfriend in the aisle. Like, she was reaching up like she was looking for something. Cuz had his hand down the dress, and he's talking, and I'm like rolling by my little cart. And I'm like, look the other way. And then I'm like, well, shit. As I walk down, I'm like, damn, if they don't care, I was like, damn, ain't nobody, people gonna stop and watch. And my thing is this, I'm down for it. You get it how you live. The thing about that is, I don't think none of her friends knew, like, you know, women look out for each other. So, you know, I'm surprised Issa didn't be like, is he touching you under the table? Like, she didn't have a reaction like that. Like, you can't just.
What? She didn't look like she wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah, but if you just was out with your homegirl and she just started getting fingered at a Waffle House,
then you let them let her get hers off. I don't know.
Let her get her nut off. What you mean?
Right. It's not like she was like, no. If she said something like that, then it's like, nigga, get the fuck out of here. Like, but she didn't.
Okay. I'm surprised by it.
I would definitely have called her out, and I would have blocked her for like a week in text message thread. Just FYI.
That's yeah, definitely talking about her afterwards.
God damn,
just to be perfectly. Listen, just be perfectly fucking honest. I don't really give a fuck. Like, I thought that shit was lit. I think that finger banging is a lost art. I think that niggas need to bring that back for the 99 and 2000. If my lady was like, yo, I want you to finger bang me while I'm talking to my parents, I'm cool with that shit. I don't really give a fuck. I'll do that shit anywhere. I don't give a fuck. It's kind of where I'm at with it.
That's real.
It's kind of where I was going to talk about Issa and Daniel, but I kind of feel like I don't want to talk about that shit no more. And we're running kind of long, so we're just going to end with shit. Molly smashed the homie. So listen, so if you don't watch, so if you kind of watch the show or you don't watch the show, whatever, Molly is talking to this dude, not Juvenile, Soulja Slim slow motion came on. Everybody know what the fuck that mean. When slow motion come on by Soulja Slim, it's gonna be some slow grinding, and it's gonna be somebody getting some pregnancy, some morning after pills when that bitch come on, right? So Molly's with this dude. They've been friends for a long time. The dude got a wife. They was dancing. They was kicking it or whatever. And the dude was like, yo, if you wanted to go down, it's cool. We're in an open relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's just how we're in an open marriage. That's how, you know, it's how our marriage works. My wife's not going to care or whatever. Molly was like, yeah, like, is anybody married like my parents? I'm not really sure how this goes down. I kind of want to sleep with him, but I kind of don't want to be in a situation where I'm fucking a married man. She got all these kind of different complexes going on. So we'll end the podcast like this. Do you think that she should fuck this nigga, Shamira? What do you feel?
No. And the reason isn't because of anything. Like, if it's an open relationship, great. But like, she definitely shouldn't do it before one confirming that it's open on both sides. Which if she has a relationship with both people, which she seems to, then she should get that all clear. Also, not all like. People act like open relationship doesn't mean like there's no rules. Like, depending on the situation, like, you know, his wife could be cool with, yeah, you get some occasional stranger pussy, but like not my homegirl who I have group texts with, you know? Like, you kind of got to make sure that's clear on both sides, how transparent it is, what it is. So she shouldn't just like send him a 2 a.m. text, be like, come get this pussy until like that whole shit is squared away. So for now, no, it looks dumb as hell. But if for whatever reason all the stars align and his his wife texts her like, "Oh yeah, I heard my husband was trying to dick you down, girl. Like, listen, it's lit." I guess
because it's not lit.
All right, Lexi said it's not lit.
Nah, I 100% agree with Shamira, and that's not something. If the girl is your girl, that's your friend. That's who you would need to hear that from. And even in that case, it's kind of weird because if your friend and the guy's not involved, I feel like that's kind of weird. But you need to hear that from the girl. You don't need to hear that from him. Even if he's saying it's open and whatever, like it's cool. Nah, that's not. And I mean, what Molly's looking for anyway, that's not going to fulfill her. Like she's looking for like the fairy tale, somebody she ends up getting married to, whatever. And for her to just have sex with this man, like what's the ending consequences either way? It's not going to be nothing she wants. So not worth it.
Before I ask Des how he feels, I just want to interject real quick. Is Molly looking for that? Because she found a guy who is like that, who wants to give her those things. And she don't want that nigga. And she didn't really say that, you know, and I'm not saying that because, you know, he's a quote unquote nice guy. Women are allowed to reject the nigga for any reason that they want. You might feel like the nigga's a nice guy. You might feel like the nigga has everything together on paper.
That guy was still whack though.
But we don't know. She never said he was. We don't know if he was whack. And I say that because she didn't say that he was whack, right? Like that wasn't really what the situation was as far as Molly was concerned.
But like she still runs from it when she does have the opportunity.
Right. Like Molly wants things, and she has an opportunity to go get those things. The things that she complains about in therapy, things that she complains about to her friends, things she complains about to herself. There are things that she wants in a man, and this guy was played by Sterling K. Brown, if I'm not mistaken. He is offering her those things, and she playing that nigga to the left. So does Molly really want these things, or does she just thinks that she wants these things? You know what I mean? So I don't even know. You know, I like Molly. I think Molly reminds me of a lot of black women that I know, which is why I go so hard for her. But like the black women that I know, sometimes I feel like you ask for things that you want, and then those things show up, and then all of a sudden you don't know what the fuck you want to do with your life. Des, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, that's not how you.
Because you know what I'm saying, you the polyamorous, you the polyamorous guru for the show. You the only reference that we have, so everything just got to go through you anyway.
That's an unfair standard, but
it doesn't matter.
That's not how you.
It doesn't matter. We have black women on the show. Everything got to go through her when it comes to black women. So you just got to bear that responsibility.
That's not how it works, Des.
Right.
So that's not how you introduce that you're in a poly or open relationship. You don't spring it on somebody in the midst of them having to make a decision. You not only strip your partner of their agency, you strip that individual of their agency because they're making a decision that's not based off of logic. In most cases, your heightened interaction is based off of emotion and passion. Like, you want to fuck? Yeah, we were just dancing and reminiscing about middle school. Yeah, I want to fuck. Let's do it. Like, that is, you know, it's harboring back to something that's emotive and not necessarily something that's thought through. Also, like, if you have, like, if I would like to entertain somebody, if I'm talking to somebody, that person's going to be, you know, meet my partner. That person's going to meet my wife. That person's going to meet, like, the people that I'm involved with and be, you know, kind of not vetted, but they're gonna understand, like, hey, this is not gonna infringe on the relationship that we have, the relationship that we're building.
Does everybody have those ethics, though, Des?
No, not everyone.
You're saying like what you do is the real way it should be done. If you're
I'm
really
not saying
open,
there's a real
right?
way. I'm just saying, like, there's a safe way. If I'm going to be having sex with you, and I have a partner, like I have a wife,
you have to answer to your wife at the end of the day.
Right, like that's the person I'm legally obligated to. That's the person I care about. That's the person that when I die, I want her to have all my stuff. Like, and while you may be a person and a partner that I care about, I have an accountability that I made to this person. Be aware and cognizant of the decisions that we're making. Whether we're going to have unprotected sex, whether we're going to explore threesomes with other people that don't include your original partner. Like, you have to have all parties engaged, knowledgeable, and able to fully consent. And like hitting you off in the club, like, hey girl, I can hit you with this thing because you know my wife let it happen. Like, no, that's not
proper etiquette. That's basically what you're trying to say.
That's not even safe.
Okay. Lex?
I just want to say it's interesting that Brandon and a couple people in the chat said, well, why wasn't Dro being labeled as a fuck nigga? Like, nobody said he was a fuck boy off top. Like they do with everybody else.
Well, I mean, Dro didn't tell her afterward. He told her beforehand. I mean, he didn't have.
So as long as you're honest beforehand, you're good.
Well, but I mean, not as long as you're honest beforehand, because you can still be honest under false pretenses. I hope that doesn't sound weird, but it wasn't like they did something first and then he said something and then they did something after that. Like nothing's happened between the two of them yet. You know what I'm saying? So there's no chance for Molly to feel regretful or feel some sort of shame about what has happened because nothing has happened yet. They just danced. That was the end of it. You know what I'm saying? So,
you gave her an invite.
Yeah. Can I just say that? I know this isn't.
He gave her the invite, but what I'm saying is like nothing has happened yet to the point where you have to feel bad about a decision that you made. You have a decision.
Not on Molly, but I'm saying on Dro. It's bad still on Dro that he was like, oh, she won't care. She's gone. Like,
that's fair. Shamira?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I know this isn't actually the case with this story because apparently I guess we'll see it played out in the next episode. I think they're apparently supposed to be in a legit open relationship. But I don't know why Molly was supposed to take him at his word anyway. Like, niggas be saying what the fuck ever, but their dick is hard. They try to get pussy.
Anything.
He put his hand on her waist and she was like, wait, maybe this is wrong. He's like, nah, we open. Like, he could have very well been in that red zone of like, I'm trying to close this and I will say what the fuck ever to close this out. I know this is probably not the case in this scenario given the nature of the show, but I'm just saying.
That's real. But I think that's a good place to end it. I mean, I mean, we can talk about Insecure all night, but I mean, you know, we shouldn't. First of all, I want to thank Shamira for joining us for the podcast today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
No problem. We seen you talking about who's podcasting. I come on and talk shit on. So, you know.
And on this one, your views aren't the worst ones.
Right. Talking shit is my ministry. You know, that's what I love to do.
Yeah, it is.
Shamira, before you go, why don't you tell everybody, you know what I'm saying, where they can find you, what you got going on, if you got anything coming up, like let the people know what you got, you know what I'm saying, popping off in your life. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so no, it's yeah, so like I said, I write for VSB, Very Smart Brothers, which is just got acquired as part of the whole Gizmodo Media Network. So it's
shout
not
out
like
to VSB.
Mm-hmm. So shout out to Panama and Damon for you know, being big media niggas now. So I think it's verysmartbrothers.theroot.com now. I occasionally contribute to The Cut at New York Magazine, Washington Post, and Teen Vogue. I actually just wrote something that went up today on body image issues that you can see on VSB. And apparently Jezebel, because white chicks have been messaging me for the last hour telling me about how I made them cry. So either way, you know, feel free to check out my stuff there, or you know, I'll always put it all together on my site, ShamiraTheFirst.com.
And how do you spell the website?
Shamira the First, like TAGFIRST.com.
Well, tell me how to spell your first name. You know Shamira, but they might be too easy that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Tell people how to find you.
I know that's right.
Okay, well, Shamira is spelled like Shakira with an M, SHAMIRA. I hope you guys know how to spell that. First.com. You can also email me at contact@ShamiraTheFirst.com, or just hit me up on Twitter, which is again _ShamGod with 1 M.
Indeed. And yeah.
Thanks to our audience.
Thank you for the audience. Thank you for the live chat. The live chat been jumping the fuck off for the last hour and 40 minutes, which is probably the longest podcast that we've ever done. But I mean, you know, guys can listen to it on the way to work, on the way to, you know what I'm saying, wherever the fuck you going. We're big news. By the time you hear this, you should be able to search NWAP on Google Play. I submitted the podcast earlier today. So they say it's going to take 24 hours for it to show up. So I'm assuming by the time we produce this podcast, not for the live show niggas, because y'all niggas are already here, but the people that's going to hear the audio version of this on Friday. Yeah, for the other niggas that didn't join us for the live show that's going to hear this on Friday, it should be up on Google Play by then. And with Google Play, you can listen to different formats, and it'll just pick up wherever you left off, which is why we wanted to get on there. We only got 2 more episodes left until the season is over, but I promise you the season's going to be over, but we're still going to be working behind the scenes to bring you the best product and the best content as possible. Yeah,
best product. We got that unstuck.
Got some niggas that straight piff, doggy. That was for you, Shamira, with Dipset.
I got it.
I was gonna say she ain't worried about you. She's trying to watch her. What's she trying to watch? Bridezilla or
I
whatever.
want to watch Dance Moms. Lorianne Gibson about to scare those little white girls.
Dance Moms.
Indeed. And my girl watched Dance Moms. I was just trying to remember what that was. And also, we're on Instagram now at NWAP Cast. I don't know it's not NWAPcast.com, but we on Instagram and shit. We definitely try to do some things behind the scenes to make sure we bring y'all better content, make sure we give y'all the full, you know what I'm saying, the full motherfucking experience. So be on the lookout for that. It's 10 o'clock. I'm hungry as fuck. My girl in the kitchen cooking. So I'll fuck with y'all niggas later. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.